Hello, and welcome back to Learn the Bible in a Year for March 18th, 2026. Today is Awkward Moments Day. And this is a kind of holiday, it's similar to Easter for me. It's a holiday that I celebrate every day of the year. And I want you to know that whoever invented this holiday was clearly reading Numbers chapter 7, because today we're covering the chapter where 12 tribal leaders bring the exact same offering to the tabernacle, one per day, over 12 consecutive days. And the Bible writes out each day in full, every single time. It is the most repetitive chapter in the entire Old Testament, and we're going to talk through why that is and how it's a feature and not some sort of a weird writing glitch. We also have the presentation of Jesus at the temple in Luke chapter 2, which includes one of the most beautiful prayers in the New Testament, spoken by a man who's been waiting his entire life for one single moment. So let's jump right into it. All right, Numbers chapter 7, the longest chapter in the entire book of Numbers. It's one of the longest in the whole Bible, actually. And here's the setup. Moses has just finished setting up the tabernacle. He has anointed it, consecrated it, and everything is in its place. And the leaders of the 12 tribes, the same men who supervised the census back in chapter 1, come forward with a collection of gifts: 6 covered wagons, 12 oxen, 1 ox from each leader, and 1 wagon from every 2. God tells Moses to accept the gifts and distribute them to the Levites according to their service. The Gershonites get 2 wagons and 4 oxen. They carry the curtains and the coverings. The Merarites get 4 wagons and 8 oxen. They carry the heavier frames and posts. And the Kohathites get nothing because they carry the most holy objects: the ark, the table, the lampstand on their shoulders. No wagons for the holiest things. Then comes the main event. When the altar is anointed, God tells Moses that each tribal leader should bring their own offering for dedication, one per day. And so they do so. Day 1, Nashon of Judah, 1 silver platter, 1 silver bowl, both filled with grain, 1 gold dish filled with incense, 1 bull, 1 ram, 1 male lamb for burnt offering, 1 goat for a sin offering, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 male goats, 5 male lambs for a peace offering, and a partridge in a pear tree. Now, me reading all of those things in a row probably sounded a little bit repetitive to you, but if you actually read today's text, you'll realize that they do this 12 times in a row. That was just for Judah. There's also Issachar and Zebulun and the rest of the 12 tribes. This repeats 12 tribes with 12 leaders, 12 identical offerings over 12 days, and the Bible records every single one of them in full by name. And an obvious question we might have here is, why does God, who's perfectly capable of saying, and the other 11 leaders did the exact same thing, instead record a full account 12 separate times? And here's what I think is happening. Every tribe mattered equally. No tribe got a bigger offering, a more impressive gift, a higher status. Judah went first. Judah always goes first. And Judah will eventually produce the Messiah. But Judah's offering was not larger than Naphtali, was not larger than Zebulun or any of them. In a culture where status was everything, where the size of your gift at a public dedication would have been noticed and remembered, God structured this so that no one could compete. Every name is recorded, every offering is equal, every tribe stands before the Lord on the same footing. Tim Keller, who's a very popular Christian author, used to say that the gospel is the great leveler. It levels everything out because it doesn't matter how impressive your own personal resume is when you come to the cross, because it was all done through the sacrifice of Jesus. So number 7 is kind of like the Old Testament version of that. The 12 tribes, 12 identical offerings. Nobody gets extra credit. No tribe is considered having a better resume, if you will. Then the chapter ends with a single verse that's pretty easy to miss, but let's take a look at it here. It says, "When Moses entered the tent of meeting to speak with the Lord, he heard the voice speaking to him from between the 2 cherubim above the mercy seat on the ark of the testimony. Thus the Lord spoke to him." After 12 days of offerings, after all the silver and gold and grain and livestock, and after all the ceremony and dedication, Moses walks into the tent and God speaks. The whole point of the tabernacle is not the building, it's not the offerings, it was the voice. God wanted to dwell with his people and speak to them. And that is still the point even after all of the offerings. Now we move into Luke chapter 2, picking up in verse 21, and we get three scenes in quick succession here that are easy to rush through, but they're worth slowing down for. Scene one is the circumcision and naming. After 8 days, Jesus is circumcised and officially named. His name is Jesus, which is Yeshua in Hebrew. And this word, this name, means the Lord saves. Now, here's something that's a little bit interesting. I find this interesting about the name Jesus. It's actually the exact same name as the name Joshua. So Yeshua, Joshua, Yeshua, Jesus. As a matter of fact, the actual word Yeshua that Jesus would have been called, it's the exact same word that Joshua, Joshua who fought the battle of Jericho, it's the same way Joshua would have been called in the Old Testament. There's literally no difference between their names. In modern translations of the Bible, we translate Yeshua to Jesus in the New Testament so that we can easily differentiate Jesus from other Joshuas in the Bible. Kind of interesting. We do that so that we can make him special and not get confused by what his name is, but his name is no different than Joshua from the Old Testament or any other Joshua in the Bible. Pretty interesting. So, anyways, he's 8 days old. He cannot speak, he cannot walk, he cannot feed himself. He's already bearing the name that declares what he came to do, which is to save. Now, scene two is a presentation at the temple. When the days of Mary's purification are complete, 40 days after the birth of a son, according to Leviticus 12, we read that a couple of weeks ago, Joseph and Mary bring Jesus to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord and to offer the required sacrifice. The offering they bring is 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons. This is the offering specified in Leviticus 12 for those who cannot afford a lamb. So, this is a poor person's offering, and this is where we have this idea that Mary and Joseph were not rich, they were poor folks. So the Son of God is presented in the temple with an offering of the poor. It's very interesting, isn't it? And there's a man in Jerusalem named Simeon. Luke tells us that he's righteous and devout, and he's been waiting for the consolation of Israel, and that the Holy Spirit has revealed to him that he will not die before he sees the Lord's Christ. And he is led by the Spirit into the temple courts on the exact same day that Joseph and Mary bring Jesus in. And he takes the baby in his arms. He probably asked first, but he takes the baby into his arms and he prays what has become known as the Nunc Dimittis, Latin for now you dismiss. The Greek word here is apolou, which is Apoluo. It's kind of hard for me to say. It means to release, to set free, or to let go. Simeon is saying, Lord, you can let me go now. You can release me because I have seen what you've promised, the Messiah, and I am ready to die now. Sovereign Lord, as you have promised, you now dismiss your servant in peace, for my eyes have seen your salvation, which you have prepared in the sight of all people, a light for revelation to the Gentiles, for the glory of your people Israel. That is Simeon's prayer. And then Simeon turns to Mary and says something that cuts right through the joy of the moment. He says, This child is appointed to cause the rise and fall of many in Israel, and to be a sign that will be spoken against, and a sword that will pierce your soul as well. Yikes. Mary is holding her newborn son, and a stranger in the temple is telling her that a sword is coming for her soul. She's going to watch her son be rejected, mocked, and crucified. Simeon knows it, and he says it plainly. I like Simeon. He just says it, I like a guy like that. Of course, this is National Awkward Moments Day, so Simeon, kind of an awkward moment there, but I love it. And then scene 3, there is Anna, and she's a prophetess. She's 84 years old. She has never left the temple, worshiping day and night with fasting and prayer. She comes forward at the exact moment, gives thanks to God, and begins speaking about the child to everyone who is waiting for the redemption of Jerusalem. 2 elderly people, one man, one woman, both led by the Spirit in the same place at the same time, both recognizing a 40-day-old infant as the salvation of the world. The people who had been waiting the longest were the first to see it. How about that for full circle for those two? That's great. All right, and we finish up today in Psalms 35, and we're reading verses 1 through 10, and it goes like this. Contend with my opponents, O Lord. Fight against those who fight against me. Take up your shield and buckler. Arise and come to my aid. Draw the spear and javelin against my pursuers. Say to my soul, I am your salvation. May those who seek my life be disgraced and put to shame. May those who plan to harm me be driven back and confounded. May they be like chaff in the wind, as the angel of the Lord drives them away. May their path be dark and slick as the angel of the Lord pursues. For without cause they laid their nets for me. Without reason they dug a pit for my soul. May ruin befall them by surprise. May the net they hid ensnare them. May they fall into a hazard they created. Then my soul will rejoice in the Lord and exalt his salvation. All my bones will exclaim, who is like you, O Lord, who delivers the afflicted from the aggressor, the poor and needy from the robber? I love that. That's a great portion of scripture there. Alrighty, let's quick word here from our wonderful sponsor, which is Covenant Security Equipment. And Covenant Security Equipment is a Christian-owned company that partners with building contractors who build with safety in mind. So these are contractors who build commercial, industrial buildings, and they have safety equipment built into the buildings, like things like bullet-resistant windows and secure transaction systems, drive-through installations, and much, much more. If this is interesting to you, go to covenantsecurityequipment.com. Support our wonderful sponsors over there. The link to that website is also in the show notes, so check it out. And also, don't forget to pick up a copy of the Learn the Bible in a Year workbook. I did write this book. Yes, I wrote it for you who are following this podcast. The book is a little bit like a journal, and it comes with additional questions and fun facts about our daily readings. The digital version is 100% for free. You can also pick up the paperback version if that's what you prefer. The link to both of those is in the show notes. All right. What was your main takeaway from today's reading? My main takeaway was definitely Simeon. I love Simeon. He's been waiting his whole life to see the Messiah, and then he saw him and he rejoiced. But then he spoke to Mary in a very plain way. It's like so in line with the National Awkward Moments Day, which is today. And he just tells Mary how it's going to go. You know, he says, this is the Son of God, this is the Messiah. He's going to suffer, and it's going to pierce your soul as well. Very sad moment. It's a very, somber moment for Mary, but I just love the plainness of that language. Like, this is what's going to happen. Let's be prepared for it. So I love seeing people who speak that way. I tend to speak that way, and so I can relate to Simeon a lot. But what was your main takeaway from today's reading? I'd love to hear it if you want to throw that down in a comment section somewhere, however it is that you're listening to this podcast. Alrighty, well, that is the episode for today, and I will see all of you cool cats again here tomorrow.